So,
Welcome to Second and None. What a college weekend we have. Or did we really have a college weekend of sports? We can pretty much say that everybody who was supposed to take care of business took care of business this weekend. It seemed like there was a lot of extra curricular activities going on. There was a couple of games that was of interest. Texas A&M was able to win. Vandy won with their backup quarterback getting the start. That was a pretty bold move by them. But it seemed the fans around the league seemed to take all the attention away from the games. Chris, what about those fans that was fighting in Auburn? What do you have for that?
Well, I know that we are all SEC fans and we're all passionate about our teams.
Yeah.
But sometimes as fans, we can go overboard. When you have women beating up men at college football games, you have a problem. Right beside that, there was a couple dudes that were wrestling. One got dropped on his neck in the stadium. Apparently at LSU, there was some issues going on with fans saying some pretty rotten things about players that were hurt. I understand that Tennessee, there were a couple fans beating on a guy that had his child with him. Come on, people. We are all fans. We're all passionate about this. We love our teams. But going overboard and being stupid and doing dumb stuff like that, it's just uncalled for. If you're going to act that way, stay at home because we don't want you at the games.
So I have to ask you, how much alcohol was involved in this?
I don't know, but knowing SEC fans and the way SEC fans like to participate in their adult beverages, I'm sure that alcohol did play a part in that. And is that something that the team should continue to do, is sell alcohol at the stadiums? I know it's a big money maker, but if people can't control themselves, is it something you want to continue doing?
It's funny because I think Matt can vouch to this. I don't think Mitch Barnhart has approved the alcohol yet at the stadiums. Am I correct about that, Matt? So I don't think he's allowed it. Dustin, what you got?
so, yeah. So the fight that Chris was talking about, it was probably just a few rows below me, and these two jokers, drunk off their hind end, acting nuts. This guy had his child with him, and what had happened was, this guy, for some reason, he was going to pick something up. Well, these two jokers behind him start trying to push this guy down the freaking bleachers. He had his kid. So the first time they pushed him, the second time they pushed him onto his kid, and then guess what? Law enforcement then had to get involved, escorted the two jokers out of there. But here's my thing, man. Don't do that with kids around. You know, that's ridiculous. Don't do it with kids around. Don't do it, period, really.
Well, so I've never personally been to an SEC game before. SEC on SEC game. Actually, I've never been
Right.
to any college stadium besides bowl games. So,
Right.
like, what's the most rowdiest crowd in the SEC? Like which crowd is the craziest? Is it LSU at night?
LSU at night is pretty rowdy. We hear stories about Florida fans that actually get rowdy enough to urinate on other people. We got some crazy fan bases.
I have a story. I have a story about at a Florida game. One of my buddies, it was at a Tennessee Florida game at Florida, and these two fans at Florida, they decided to take a beer and pour it on one of my buddy's heads, and then somehow or another they snuck some tomatoes in there and they started throwing tomatoes at the Tennessee fans. It's ridiculous.
Is that anything like mustard bottles?
Well, now don't now hold on with the mustard bottles. We were throwing those at the refs. That's a difference. There's a big difference there.
What about Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin.
That was just a golf ball.
That joker needs a boulder stomped on his head. But anyway, that's for another story.
Why don't you tell us how we really feel, or how you really feel.
Well, yeah, well, okay. Do you want me to tell you or no? Because it's I, here's what I'm saying about Lane Kiffin. The
Okay.
Joker should have the Joker should have never left at the middle of the night. I understand it was USC. I understand it was his dream job. I get that, but do it right. Don't just leave because you're a chicken. And that's kind of my take on that. I have a little more choice words for him, but you know, we're trying to do a family show here, not a not tell us how you really feel about shows.
Right.
USC kind of seems to be doing that because they did it with Lane Kiffin. They did it with I forgot his
Lincoln
name.
Riley. They done with Lincoln
Riley.
Riley too. Yeah.
Up and out in the middle of the night. They be sending out deals at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. 5 a.m. You waking up. It's like, oh snap, where'd he go?
Oh yeah, man. People were burning couches in Knoxville. People were flipping cars. It was ridiculous. I'd never seen such a mess.
So
Surely they are. Surely they're telling their players before they leave, though, right?
You would think.
Lane Kiffin didn't.
Lane Kiffin didn't.
Really, he just up and
Nope.
out, huh?
Nope.
Yep. And I tell you how it's all got started. There was Tennessee fans at the airport at that particular moment in time, and buddy, that's how it all ensued. And then before you knew it, there was a mob ready to set that place on fire that night. They were ready to set that place on fire.
So I heard a specific word mentioned in your little talk there, Dustin.
What's
I heard
that?
I heard the word chicken.
Yeah.
My understanding is rooster tastes pretty good. I understand.
Let's go to Georgia.
I understand we got some game chickens in this conference, and as a Vanderbilt fan, I think that's a game that they can look to and say, "Hey, we have a real opportunity to get an SEC win here." So, with that being said, I have to ask my guy Jerry, what does chicken taste like, or what does rooster taste like? Do you have any clue, or what we're going to get on this rooster taste?
I'll be able to tell you in about 5 minutes. So, in case anyone that's watching doesn't know, today only at KFC, you can do a buy one get one free Gamecock family meal. I'm telling you, go check it out.
Is that compliments up? Is that only in the state of Georgia?
University of Georgia.
Hey, they must have missed 2 free throws in a row there for you to get one. That's funny. So
speaking of Georgia, I think the play of the day has to be awarded. I come up with 2 plays. One of them is AJ Swann. Vanderbilt went forward on 4th down 28-14. AJ Swann kind of rolls out, gets hit a little bit, continues to roll out, and hits our running back Ray Davis in the end zone to get a touchdown. Absolutely changed the game. But another play I wanted to bring up, Georgia's got a kid that what he was doing yesterday should be illegal in at least 21 states. He breaks free, comes clean out of the line, catches the little pass, linebacker hits him, bounces off, and then the DB is right in front of him, and Brock Bowers does a little dipsy-do that puts the DB on his backside. He gets up and just outruns him to the end zone.
Now,
I have to say Brock Bowers is pretty intense, even if he is an opposing player.
Now here's the thing. That was not even his best catch or best play of the day. His best catch of the day was on the side of the end zone where he was able to get 2 toe taps in, an NFL touchdown. Oh my God, look, I don't even know what to say about this, man. I really don't. I already got his jersey. I'm planning on getting it signed. That's some things going on the wall. I mean, he's a lock for a top 3 draft pick. It's insane.
You want to talk about illegal stuff? Let's talk about Akron's dirty playing last night. Going for kids' knees. Cedric Tillman is hurt. No telling how long he's going to be out for. Jabari Small is hurt because you know why? Guess what? They took out his knees. Dude, I was so mad last night, buddy. I thought fans were about to run on the freaking field and tackle the players themselves. It was ridiculous at some of the illegal hits they were doing. And guess what? The refs just let it pass on by like it was nothing. Horrible officiating last night. Horrible.
And
I was pissed.
and to piggyback on that, there was one specific play in the Tennessee game where an Akron player got called for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Mm-hmm.
But the big part of that play was Callaway just unloading about 7 haymakers on dude's head wearing a helmet. How long do you think he's going to get suspended for? Because unfortunately, that's going to come. And you kind of compare it to LeGarrette Blount that got 4 games for a punch that was thrown after the game. What kind of neighborhood are you looking at for Callaway here?
I'm looking maybe 2 to 4 games potentially. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Nothing's been officially released yet about him, but I'm looking possibly 2 to 4 games is what they're saying. I don't know. I mean, buddy, I tell you, for it to be a non-conference game and for the Akron be down as far as they was, dude, they were talking a whole lot of smack for no reason. Buddy, they had to break up their quarterback. So Akron's quarterback, after the game was over, he decided to walk over to the Tennessee sideline, and he was still talking junk. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it before.
Hey, Matt, JJ Weaver, he went down yesterday. I don't know have you heard anything? I know Mark Soup said he's not sure how long he'll be out. That's a major piece in the defense. He said that it's probably not a season-ending move or injury, but he could be out. It seems like Kentucky's losing a player every week. How much longer can they keep this up?
As of today, it's day to day. Kentucky did not look so good as far as the offensive flow. I mean, 2 interceptions, a fumble, loss. As far as their defense, of course, they played who they played, and got to get better on the offensive end. That's definitely for sure. It's Levis has got to quit throwing the ball into tight coverage. It seems like, got to work on a lot of things. Kentucky's going through this next conference game next week. They've got to work on some things, getting Rodriguez back by the Ole Miss game. We'll see what goes on. I think Kentucky's still got a good shot to really do some good things.
Okay.
Speaking of Chris Rodriguez, of course, the story broke yesterday morning that a reporter filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the University of Kentucky, apparently regarding some unpaid time at the hospital by some of the players. One of the players specifically mentioned was Rodriguez. We do know that it's a NCAA violation to get paid for work not performed. Kentucky has self-reported a violation. So is Rodriguez not playing directly related to the DUI, or are they holding him out because of potential punishments for playing him even though he's violated some NCAA rules?
First game was for the DUI was, the game against Miami of Ohio. These next 3 games, or I think because of the NCAA violations, because of NCAA took action. I think after that, it's, it's taken care of because they gave in Kentucky the go ahead to let him play against Ole Miss. That's from what I've understood.
Okay, and I asked that because I wasn't aware if the NCAA had given them a final word on that or not. So, kind of wanted to ask about that.
I think they've taken care of all the suspension part. That was just not right on Chris Rodriguez's part. He should know better. He's a 5-year player. You just don't make that kind of. You should know better. You've been through the program. You know what's at stake. We need you. This is your chance for Kentucky to have a big season. and
Right.
makes
Especially, yeah,
No.
especially for just speaking as a UK fan, especially how much you bring to the team. Like you're our bread and butter when it comes to running that rock. So to
Yeah.
do that, you have to really question where his mind was at to knowing that this is wrong. But big heads up to Stoops, even though he had to miss against Florida, it didn't cost us. But good thing for Stoops is saying, hey, we're still gonna set you out for a few games. But it was a while before, of course, no one really knew until up until now pretty much what had happened. And that's what had happened. So, Stoops and all those the university wasn't gonna put that out just yet. So, but hey guys, it's Sunday. It's rankings times.
Yeah.
The rankings are out. You got Georgia at 1, Bama at 2, Kentucky at 8, Arkansas at 10, Tennessee at 11, Ole Miss at 16, Florida at 20, and A&M 23.
A&M don't need to be there. A&M don't need to be there. They're not a top 25 team.
Well,
Come on, man.
I mean, but
They barely pulled it out against Miami. Why is A&M in there? My gosh, they got the tar beat out of them by App State. I'm sorry, but no, there are other teams. I mean, I would think would probably need to be in there. I haven't looked at the official, at all of the rankings. But A&M does not need to be in there. I'm sorry. If you want to do that, then let's put LSU in there. Swap LSU and A&M. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, how about this team that's sitting here at 3-1 that beat a team worse than the number 5 team in the country beat them? Vanderbilt beat Hawaii on the road, worse than Michigan beat them in the Big House.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why not have a 3-1 Vanderbilt in there over ATM? Texas A&M is overrated by far.
Oh, yeah,
and
ridiculous.
Overvalued by everybody in the country.
I'm sorry, but Jimbo Fisher's playbook is expired. Since 2014, it's expired. I'm sorry. I've heard that from time to time. He's still trying to play like he's at FSU. It's a totally different league. It's a totally different ball team. He needs to quit looking at plays from 2014. What did Nick Saban do whenever he started losing? He evolved. He got the guys in there that needed to be in there. He brought Lane Kiffin in because Lane Kiffin had a totally different mind, a totally different offensive mind. That's what they need to do. They need to get a totally different offensive coordinator if they want to score points.
So speaking of,
and last I checked, you have to have more points than the other team to win a ball game.
yeah.
Speaking of Saban, is he reverting back to old school Saban and running the rock? Because if you look at their numbers, they've only got 2 guys that have over 100 yards catching on the season, and one of them's a running back. So is he changing his philosophy back to old school Saban where he's trying to pound it?
Shout out to my man Burton for leaving the program to go to Alabama to get the stats to be a first round pick. Just throwing that out there.
So and that's a possibility. Nick Saban, he could be looking at his receivers and say, well, my receiving core, they're not as strong as my running backs are. So that could be possibly what they're looking at. I mean, Saban's a smart guy. He's not. I mean, he isn't the most. He isn't one of the top coaches of all time for no reason. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
So that could be a possibility. Maybe just his running back core is a little bit stronger than his wide receivers. And another thing you got to look at, I've noticed that Alabama's offensive line isn't as strong as what they have been. So maybe they're not able to protect Bryce Young as good as what they have been able to do in the past.
I think that affects his numbers too, because his numbers aren't near what they were last year.
It does.
And I'm not naive enough to think that Vanderbilt's going to go in there and beat them or give them any kind of threat. But you want to keep it respectable.
Right. Speaking of though, Chris, what about some of those Vanderbilt fans? Some of them are a little. We should be undefeated right now, and all this, that, and the other. What do you think of them?
Our fan base needs a serious dose of reality.
Gotcha.
Saw so much stuff yesterday blaming when we were down 28-14. It looked very ugly at that point in time.
Yeah.
And half of our fans were putting it directly on Clark Lee. This is all on him. It's his fault. Well, I don't agree with that at all. He's been there all of 15 games.
Mhm.
He inherited this mess. It's still a mess, even though we are 3-1. It's still a mess. We still have yet to win an SEC game. That's all a result of what Derek Mason left behind.
Yeah.
Now, today, we have fans that are saying you got to start Mike Wright at quarterback against Alabama to protect AJ Swann. Well, AJ Swann gives you the best opportunity to win now.
Yeah.
I do agree.
And sometimes that's what you got to do, man. Like you said, Mike, earlier, you have to. That's why they get paid the big bucks. They're the ones who make those decisions. They're the ones who are in the program day in and day out. We get to just see them on Saturday, and that's it.
Yep.
So maybe Mike Wright didn't have that good of a week of practice. Who knows? Maybe he was having a poor game. So he's like, all right, yep, time to put AJ Swann in there. Let's see what he can do. I'm sure he can do a little bit better than what's going on right now. So a lot of these fans, Tennessee fans included, if your players aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're going to get replaced. And that's just the fact of it. Because you know why? Those coaches are there to win. They know what it takes to win. So if your players aren't producing, they're going to get swapped out. That's the bottom line.
And it's very interesting you say that, because he was asked directly last night in the press conference after the game about why he chose to start AJ Swann. And something I hadn't considered, if you look at the second half of the Elon game and the first 3 quarters of the Wake Forest game, the offense had gotten stagnant. It was not moving the ball. Elon and Wake had loaded the box up to protect against Mike Wright's legs.
Yeah.
And so now you have to have an arm that can throw the ball
at
the same time as being able to run. And AJ Swann definitely has the better arm. And he made the decision on Wednesday to start AJ Swann. And to Mike Wright's credit, he has been nothing but supportive of that and agrees with the decision that it was time to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of the time, your starter, your backups, most of the time they are very supportive of one another. You look at Joe Milton and Hendon Hooker. Last season Milton started well. He played pitiful in the Pitt game. That's when Hooker come in. Dude, to this day they're best friends. That's just the way it goes. A lot of the guys, if they're in that quarterback room, they're very supportive of one another. Running backs, same way. You have to have. You have to have a good team vibe going on to be able to win ball games. You look at let's roll back to Texas A&M. That's something that they don't do. Their team is just not gelling with one another. They're just playing horrible. I mean, yeah, they were able to beat Miami, but it wasn't pretty at all.
Do you guys think Alabama will finish the year undefeated?
No,
absolutely not.
The way they're playing right now, I don't think so.
No, Jerry, what you think?
Absolutely not. Well, first off, I think this Gamecock tastes delicious.
Okay,
that's number one. I'm tearing it up. That's number one. Number two, I got them losing 2 games. I'm between Ole Miss, Arkansas. I'm putting A&M out there because they seem to beat teams that they shouldn't beat, and LSU.
One of those 4, huh?
2. I'm saying they lose 2 of them.
Wow.
All right, let's okay.
Let's talk about Arkansas.
Throw Tennessee out. I forgot Tennessee. Put Tennessee in there too.
I was going to say because all right.
I knew I was forgetting one.
Oh, it's okay. No. So all right. So you have Bama playing Arkansas, then they play A&M, and then they play Tennessee. So that right there, that 3-game stretch, that's going to be kind of a tough 3 games for Alabama. And I'll tell you what, if they can't protect their quarterback, Arkansas is going to put a hurting on them. And I'll tell you what, another thing, if Tennessee plays the way they did against Pitt, Tennessee's liable to put a hurting on their quarterback as well. In that game, they got 26 hurry-ups. Now, they didn't do real well, but they're playing a lot of zone. Tennessee's playing a lot of zone defense last night. So they really wasn't trying to blitz the quarterback a whole lot. But I tell you what, though, I could see Bama either losing to Arkansas, like you said, Jerry, Arkansas, A&M, or Tennessee potentially. And then I tell you what, if Georgia makes it to the SEC championship, which I'm almost certain that they will, I see Georgia putting a hurting on them in the SEC title as well.
So
Which I mean, Georgia is favorited right now to make it to the SEC title. So I mean, unless Georgia just blunders in the middle of the season, they have some key starters get hurt or something unfortunate happens. I don't really see anybody putting up really a tough game against Georgia at this particular moment in time.
So it seems like everybody's high on Arkansas to give Alabama a loss. Can we talk about Arkansas a little bit? Because they kind of got punched in the mouth yesterday.
Yeah.
Granted, you have to give them credit because they answered the bell.
Yeah.
But without the 73-yard strike and the 82-yard punt return, that FCS number 3 Missouri State came in there and whooped them.
And I think if I'm correct, Chris, wasn't you telling everybody that's and you was going back and forth with Wes, though you probably you specifically said Arkansas is probably going to win the ball game, but I wouldn't count them out though. I wouldn't go in there. And I think Arkansas went in there, and I think they went in with the mindset of this is just another ball game. Let's get through it and let's move on. And it didn't turn out to be that way. Just as you said. Yep.
I tell you what, man. The cheating motorcycle rider, he come in there having his team ready to play.
He did.
That's what I saw. He did.
And that is a very good football team. And it just goes to show this notion that SEC teams can just show up and just beat anybody because we're in the SEC is just not reality.
Bobby Petrino wanted to beat Arkansas bad yesterday, man. You know that.
Did.
They wanted to beat Arkansas bad.
Yeah.
And in his post-game press conference, he was very shaken. He gave a lot of one-word answers. And he even talked about the emotions of coming back to Arkansas. I think he realizes he messed up. He had built a powerhouse while he was there. And I think he finally understands what he really messed up when he took that joyride.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, Arkansas, they were able to get the dub, which is what's important. That's what's important at the end of the day is wins and losses. And Wes, he mentioned it last week. Every game has a story. Yeah, Arkansas may have played bad. They may not have played to their full potential, but they still won the ball game. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. They're sitting at 3-0 right now at rank number 10. So, kudos to them, for getting that win. It was a hard fought ball game. It was a hard fought ball game.
And that's a solid team that they beat too. No, make no mistake about it. Missouri State's a very good football team, but we're going to bring in some coaches here, and at least you ain't got to call a cop like Clark Lee to break stuff up. What kind of employment would Josh Heupel be if Clark Lee is a cop?
It was so funny last night. Me and my wife, we were sitting there at Neyland Stadium, and we was just enjoying ourselves. And she looks over at me, and I was thinking about this because I know we had talked about this before. She looks over at me, and she says, if Josh Heupel was not being a head coach, he looks like he would be a mall cop.
I think a youth pastor.
Right. I can see that as well. I mean, Josh Heupel just does not have the demeanor to be a head coach. He's not intense like a head coach would be of an SEC school.
Band or choir director. I can see that.
I can see that too. But man, that mall cop comment had me rolling. I was like, you're actually looking like Paul Blart riding around the mall in his little Segway.
So is Brian Kelly the video director then?
I could see that. I could see that.
Absolutely.
He would be a dance coordinator for sure.
With his dance moves, I'm not sure he could coordinate dancing.
I could definitely see that. Mike Leach, if he was not, I mean, I think you guys know what I'm going to say, but if Mike Leach wasn't a head coach, he would be a Pirate for sure.
Oh, definitely.
that or
and
he
if
would
Lane
definitely be a
Kiffin
Pirate.
and if Lane Kiffin is not the best used car salesman you've ever seen in your life,
I can see that.
That fits.
What about Kirby Smart?
Kirby Smart? Oh, I could see him being a motivational speaker.
Yeah, that.
I'm a history teacher.
Hey,
Not that.
hey, Kirby Smart would be on tour with Tony Robbins.
There you go. Him and Inky Johnson would do real well together too.
Yeah. What about Mark Stoops?
He's a UFC fighter. I would not want to tangle with that guy at all.
Okay, so we're talking about UFC. Let's see. Well, boxing. Let's I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to compare him to Butterbean. all he needs to do is shave his head. All he needs to shave his head. That's it.
When he gets hot on it, when he gets mad on that sideline, oh my God!
Oh gosh!
He just like, come on, coach, calm down.
Oh yeah. So let's move to Nick Saban, man. The GOAT. What would Nick Saban be?
A retired insurance salesman. Can't change my mind.
Aflac. There you go. I can see that. I can see that.
I was going to say Nick Saban would be a politician because sometimes he talks out of both ends at once.
Yeah, he does.
But
totally see that.
But if we're talking about these guys, doesn't Shane Beamer have to be the plant manager of a welding factory or something? I can't picture him doing anything else but welding.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And Billy Napier, I could see him being let's see. I would have to probably say Billy Napier because he's so quiet. And he's living down there in Florida. A fishing boat captain, maybe? I don't know.
That's a good one.
I don't know. I don't see it. No.
You don't see a fishing boat captain?
I don't see a fishing boat captain. No.
So what you got on Billy Napier?
Oh my goodness. I don't.
Because he's really quiet. He tends to stay to himself. He's very monotone. Maybe a math teacher?
A librarian.
A what?
Look, the general manager at a grocery store. I don't know.
I can see that. I can see that.
But if Napier is a general manager at a grocery store, doesn't that make Brian Harsin a flight attendant?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. A male flight. Yep. I see it. I can see it. Bring me my little cup of Sprite.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's piggy off of Brian Harsin. They got beat. I don't see Brian Harsin making it much longer. I'm just here to tell you because, buddy, they had fans leaving at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I mean, really at halftime, and it was an orange out. It was a wild crowd. You guys know how Jordan Hare could be. It can get wild in there. I mean, Alabama's had plenty of tough times, to win there. Brian Harsin, man, this was supposed to be a revenge game, and they got no revenge. They got plumb out, wore out.
And the thing about that orange out, was it really an orange out? Because I saw a whole lot of Penn State blue in that stadium yesterday.
I did too.
And being a Power 5 head coach in the SEC, you can't have that much of your opponent showing up in your stadium. Granted, it happens at Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's fan base it's more national. It's not a regional fan base like most other schools are. And it happens at Vanderbilt.
But Vanderbilt's like 4 hours away from almost every stadium in the country, in the SEC though. So it's geologically, it's pretty, it's pretty accessible for a lot of fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's 3 hours from Knoxville. It's 4 hours from Athens. So I mean, Vanderbilt, it's very geologically accessible. But yeah, man, you're absolutely right though. You can't have Penn State fans coming into your stadium just showing up and showing out in Auburn, Alabama.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I never would have expected I'd see that.
No,
Would
no,
they
me
make?
neither.
Are they gonna make a bowl game?
No,
Absolutely
no.
not.
Man,
TJ Finley's playing horrible right now.
I'm just praying to sweet baby Jesus that they let Harsin stick around for one more trip to Athens. That's all I want.
So speaking of Auburn and such, there's a guy on Twitter. His name is SEC Mike that puts out the SEC Power ratings.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of guys, be sure to try to join in on one of our spaces because we're going to have cousin Shane on there with us. So be sure to join in on that.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah. So he agreed to do a show with us. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to mention that. I totally forgot to mention that to everybody.
It's all good. But this SEC Mike, he puts out his SEC Power ratings for the first time since 2018. Vanderbilt is not last in the SEC. In fact, they're not even 13th in the SEC.
Woo-woo.
He's got them at 12, which is quite a, when you look at where we've been, that's quite an achievement.
That Dumb and Dumber. So you saying we have a chance?
Hey, we've talked about this before. If you, Jerry, I don't mean for this to be a touchy subject. You look at what South Carolina was able to do to Georgia just a couple of years ago. So there is always a chance for an upset, and that's what I love about college football, man. You just never know. I mean, really.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. Before that game kicked off yesterday, they showed the crowd with Sandstorm, and they look. I've been in the stadium before. It's that Sandstorm is pretty intimidating before kickoff because I don't know how they get that many people to coordinate with those towels because I figure they're a little slower up there, but they got 60,000, I don't know how many people to coordinate those towels and it looks legit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Williams-Brice can get wild, dude. Williams-Brice can get wild.
I'm giving people 30, 40 points. I'm giving them a 30, 40 point spread and taking these bets. But 2 minutes before kickoff, and they're showing that, I'm like, dude, maybe this is it. That's
well. I'll tell you, Georgia shut them up really quick. So even though Sandstorm is a little intimidating, Georgia still shut them up. So I was just giving the example. If you just looked at just a couple of years ago, Georgia was favored by 3 touchdowns in that ball game. And South Carolina was able to come back and they was able to beat them. So Vanderbilt, man, there's always a chance. I really think Vanderbilt will get Missouri, and I think potentially they could get South Carolina for sure. Missouri is horrible.
And speaking of Missouri, they quietly beat Abilene Christian yesterday. I think it was 34-17, but even that doesn't look good at all.
No,
that's
those games, man. You should. I'm okay. So I love running up the score because I just think just to try to patch your stats a little bit. But in a game like that, you should be able to blow that opponent out. I mean, really, you should. Being an SEC school, you should be able to blow that team out. Now, I'm not saying that's what always happens because we look at Arkansas, we look at let's see who else played kind of
even Georgia and Samford. Georgia should have put up more than 33 against Samford.
Yeah.
Kentucky only put up 31.
That was the game I was thinking of. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, that was the game I was thinking of. So, I mean, look, even though they're Division II, Division III schools, these kids still play college football, and they're playing college football for a reason. They are. These kids, like Wes said once before, somewhere in the country, they were all county, all state, all conference, something. So these kids are still good.
Right.
So, all right. So Tennessee yesterday, I kind of want to talk about this for a minute. I'm not trying to be a homer or anything, The final score was 63-6. That was the final. We were a 45-point favorite in that ball game, so of course we got way over on that. So that was really good to see. I'll tell you, man, Akron, they're a bunch of dirty, no good. I'll tell you, like I said, because this is a family show, I'll keep it clean, but they're dirty. It was horrible officiating. Yes, we beat them, I know, 63-6, and I shouldn't be fussing about it. But man, when you try to take some players' knees out, like Jabari Small and Cedric Tillman, just because you want to see them hurt, that's a load of crap if I ever saw it, and I'm pissed about it. And I tell you what, at the very end of the ball game, their little quarterback Irons, he played a pretty good ball game, but he wanted to come over there, start running his trap towards our sideline. Like what kind of a Joe Moorhead is the head coach up there. Did I see that he was a coach at Mississippi State at one time?
He was offensive coordinator at Mississippi State for a while. I do know that.
Okay. Yeah, and from what I understand, he kind of lost control of his players. Well, I'll tell you, that just proved it right there. He's horrible. That coach should be fired at Akron for trying to get players to be hurting other players. It wasn't right, and I'm pissed about it because who knows how long Jabari Small is going to be out? Who knows how long Cedric Tillman's going to be out? We got Florida next week. Yeah, I'm pissed. I'm mad about it. I'm fired up.
Dustin, it is kind of when you saying that brought something to my attention. I just remembered.
What's that, buddy?
A couple years ago, I feel like whenever Georgia played Tennessee, we had a couple problems with some Georgia players getting injured.
I remember that.
One that comes to mind is Nick Chubb.
Oh yeah. I for some reason I was thinking it was Tony Michelle, but yeah, it's Nick Chubb. Yeah, man, that was a dirty cheap shot. That was dirty. I will admit that, dude. His knee bent back. That was a horrible injury, dude, and it was kind of life-changing for him. So that kind of brings me to my point. Play clean football. Don't try to play dirty just because you're getting beat. You know what I'm saying? I hate when players try to take cheap shots. And I mean, there was just a lot of chirping between. The scoreboard was we were way up, so I understand the Akron players. They were mad. They were aggravated. Guys, we put up over close to 700 yards of offense on these guys, and we only held them to like 260. So, yeah, we padded our stats a little bit by playing them, but I'm just concerned about Cedric Tillman and Jabari Small next week or this coming weekend in Florida. Cedric Tillman said that he would be back, but I don't know if he's going to be 100% though. And that's a big piece to our wide receiving core. Now, Jalen Hyatt though, dude, he had a really good game last night. I don't know if you guys saw any of those receptions, but he had a really good game yesterday. And even Joe Milton, man, hit a couple of dimes there in the third quarter.
So speaking of good games and doing some stat padding, Mike Wright still leads the SEC with 10 touchdowns, but Vanderbilt's got a wide receiver that 10 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns yesterday, continues to lead the nation with 7 touchdown receptions. So we've got some players that can make some plays. Do we have the ability to go out and make plays against a team as talented as Alabama? I hope we do. I hope we keep it respectful. I saw the opening line is Alabama -43. So
I'll take
the bettors are not giving Vanderbilt the respect.
Right.
I'll put my paycheck on the under.
Yeah, I don't see Bama. Bama was favored at 20 against Texas. I don't see them being able to. I don't see them being a 43-point favorite in that ball game. Maybe 20, maybe 3 scores, maybe, but not 40 points. I just don't see that happening.
Especially when you got an offense that can score like Vanderbilt does. They haven't scored less than 25 in any single game yet.
Yeah, I mean, unless something just detrimental happens to Vandy, I just don't see them beating Vandy by 40. I know in past years that'd be crazy to say, but this is 2022. We're in a different year. Vanderbilt overall, they're playing good football. I don't see Bama beating them by 40. I'm sorry, I just don't.
I'm going to say it's not 2017. We don't have Vanderbilt players calling out Alabama, and I just don't see Alabama putting a program changing beat down on them like they did then.
Right. So, 43, that's a little excessive if you ask me. They're not putting any respect on Vandy's name. And I mean, I hate to see that just because they're, yeah, Bama's a good team. We all know that. But at the same time, Vanderbilt's not horrible. They're not a horrible team.
Yeah, we're nothing like we were in 2019, 2020, 2021.
No. So I would think 3 scores maybe. I would take that, but not 43.
Kentucky.
Yeah, I'll take over on 20.
Yeah.
What you got,
so
Matt?
what'd you say, Matt?
I was going to say Kentucky through the first 3 games is the only SEC team to not allow a passing touchdown. And then
All right. Okay.
In the last 6 quarters, they haven't allowed
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I got you a stat for you right now. Hendon Hooker leads passes to interception ratios. He doesn't have any. How about that stat?
Well,
so
definitely ain't gonna win that one, then.
Since we're talking about touchdown passes,
Georgia's backup quarterback has more passing touchdowns than Florida's starting quarterback.
So does ours.
Hold up a minute. I'm getting to that stat. I want to pat everybody on the back on this call because everybody on this call has the same number of touchdown passes as Anthony Richardson does.
Yes.
Round of applause, guys.
Round of applause.
It's funny, after Florida, they got that, they got that win against Utah. Anthony Richardson for Heisman, all this Heisman talk, and it's like Florida has just fell off, man. I'm sorry, they USF, buddy, about got them last night, and I tell you, I was really hoping that they were. I was really hoping that USF was going to get them. Now, Kentucky handed them a pretty bad loss. The score may not have looked it, but they did. Yeah. They got wore out, and it's like Florida has just kind of fell off, man. Wow. I know Billy Napier. I know he's a new coach. I know that, but their offensive line is horrible.
Well, and not only that, but their play calling. I heard it mentioned last night. Mm-hmm. They have not called a single designed pass play to the left side of the field. Sure, he's thrown some passes over there, but on every single pass play that they have called this season, his number one option has been on the right side of the field.
Yeah.
So when you make it that easy to defend and just regular Joes like us can see that stuff, SEC defensive coordinators are eating it up.
Yes, they are.
Oh yeah, and I mean Kentucky really exposed Florida last weekend. That if you can shut down Anthony Richardson, Florida really doesn't have much of a chance, dude, because their defense is pretty good. I mean, they're overall they're okay, but their offense just cannot score. And without Anthony Richardson, say he gets hurt, unfortunately, what's going to happen with their backup? I feel for that. I mean, no, you know what? Hell no, I don't feel for that team. Good. I'm glad. Florida can go to hell for all I care. I don't care. I was hoping USF was going to get them. Sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to say that.
No, you okay?
but you know what though? I hate Florida. I hope they lose every ball game. And you know what? I hope Tennessee puts 60 up on them next weekend in Neyland. They can kiss my hind end for all I care.
See, Dustin, I love your rant right there. And bouncing off of your rant, Michael, I hear you have a new segment on this show that you want to introduce to everybody. Have the floor, Michael. Tell us what you got.
Well, we got a new segment here. I talked to Bobby. Me and Bobby had a talk this weekend, and we're going to name this segment to close us out. It's going to be Bobby's Bottom Line. So, Bobby, with all of our mics muted, you got the floor for 3 minutes. It's all yours.
So, okay. So here's my thing. this weekend in college football, we saw a lot of unsportsmanlike behavior from fans, from players, from just all different aspects of people in the stadium. And it's a shame because the because people go to these games to have fun and to enjoy watching teams play because it is a chance to celebrate your team with other people that like the team's playing. And for somebody to be in the stands starting the fight or being in the field, on the field, and doing what the Akron players did to Tennessee. In my opinion, stuff like that should never happen, especially in the college football game. You see these people, and I think a lot of us, I know I'm guilty of it, we forget that these kids are anywhere from 18 to 20 to 25 years old. And I mean, in my opinion, there's no need for stuff like that. I think that Jimbo Fisher may have saved his job for a little bit by pulling off the win last night. Watching some of the Arkansas game last night, I think Arkansas may have a hard time with a lot of these SEC schools. For them to have that close of a game with Missouri State, I just don't see them winning a lot of the SEC games. I don't. I think what Sam Pittman is building at Arkansas, I think he's doing a good job at it, but I don't see them there yet. Give it maybe till next year, but I don't see them having the type of season everyone is expecting them to have. I'm up here in Ogden, so I get to hear it almost everywhere I go. Well, what about Arkansas? Well, Arkansas looked good yesterday. Well, did you see Ogden? So yes, I saw Ogden. So no, they're not as good as what you guys are trying to make it out to be. And I think that's all I have for today. So send it back over to Michael Chris and them.
Hey, Bobby, we appreciate that. We really do. Thank you for giving us your thoughts and let us know how you do. And it seems like you, if you guys can agree with me or whatever, but it seemed like you don't really care that much for Arkansas.
So
I thought
my,
it was some great analysis on
yes,
Arkansas.
yeah. So also Bobby brought up a really good point about Jimbo Fisher saving his job. I don't think that Jimbo Fisher is going to get fired within the next couple of years. But if he doesn't change some stuff, he will, because his offense is stagnant. Because let me tell you, $85 million, that's a pretty big buyout. I don't see A&M spending out that kind of money to let a coach go.
Speaking of coaches and getting fired, there's a lot of talk today of a NFL Hall of Famer might be on his last leg. I know it's not SEC related, but Herm Edwards out there at Arizona State as a 25-point favorite yesterday got beat by Eastern Michigan. That just can't happen. You hate to see a guy like that go out like that, but as you said, we're in the business of winning football games, and he's just not doing it.
He's not.
And well, let's talk about coaches for a second. With Scott Frost being gone, guess what? Oklahoma, they blew out Nebraska again. So
and speaking of that
whole coaching staff probably just needs to be let go.
Mickey Joseph this morning released the defensive coordinator and put their special teams coach in as their defensive coordinator.
Wow.
Urban Meyer's coming back.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of talks about Urban Meyer. Now I've heard a lot of talks about Mark Stoops. I don't see Mark Stoops leaving, but I can see.
Watch it, blasphemy.
I hope he is. I hope Mark Stoops decides to go.
There's only one school that I could see Mark Stoops leaving Kentucky for, and that's that would be Iowa, where the connection is there. He played there. He's been in this. That's where he got to start the coaching at, and Kirk Ferentz, you got to think, is on his way out.
Yeah.
And the way their offensive looked this year, Brian Ferentz ain't going to inherit that job.
No.
And speaking of games, that game last night that kicked off at 6:40 and didn't end till after 1:30 a.m., how do people stay alive for that kind of stuff? I couldn't have done it.
Yeah. Speaking of long games, that first quarter, the Tennessee game, took an hour. 1 hour for one quarter. I believe it was like, what the heck is going on here? What's up with this? But there's a lot of penalties and all this, that, and the other. But somebody who may have saved their job the other day, Mike Norvell, might have just saved his job, bud. They're starting out 3-0. Just got a good win against Louisville. They're 3-0 in the season, 1-0 in conference play. So they're having a little bit of success down there in Tallahassee. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. When the season kicked off and FSU played LSU, I identified both teams as maybe having 7-8 wins as a ceiling, but now you start to look at FSU and say, well, could they possibly challenge a Clemson? Could they knock off a Wake Forest? They have definitely shown vast improvement over what they've been.
Right. So I could definitely see I could see now, because I was thinking maybe LSU was going to be a loss. Looking at their record, I could see them possibly having a 9-win season, which would be a huge improvement for Mike Norvell. I don't know. I could see it. Do what? What'd you say, Matt? Louisville's horrible.
Louisville Cardinals, they're horrible. That I don't know if
they are.
They're not horrible.
Yes.
The coach's job is on the line.
So how was Louisville even favored in that game?
I don't know. Matt, okay, let me ask you this, right? I know you're a huge Kentucky fan. I know. Who do you hate more, Louisville or Western Kentucky?
Louisville.
Louisville.
Louisville. They're
Yeah.
Kentucky actually has a winning record against them in football and basketball, but they're always
Right.
I mean, they're always talking.
Right.
Louisville is the Vanderbilt of Tennessee. Tennessee has a winning record in every sport, even baseball, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Vanderbilt fans are always chirping at Tennessee fans.
And that really surprises me about baseball. That really, I don't know why, but I've always thought that Vandy baseball was just so much better than Tennessee baseball.
Over the last 20 years, it has been. Historically, Tennessee did jump out to an early, in the 90s, Tennessee was that program.
Right. Right.
Which brings me to the topic of game day. Is there any other person that Tennessee can put out there as their spokesman on game day than Vitello?
Well, what was you saying there, Jerry?
Some breaking news. I know we were talking about Herm at Arizona State. Just got the alert on my phone. He's been fired.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Breaking news on second to none.
There you go.
I hate that for Herm Edwards.
Yeah.
You hate to see it end that way.
At ticker.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, who else can you pick other than? I mean, you could bring Peyton on there potentially, but I don't want Peyton there because he puts a curse on Tennessee whenever he's there. So, I mean, no, come on, guys. A lot of people are like, they're like, we don't want game day to come to Tennessee. It's the game day curse because a lot of times when game day comes, Tennessee is lost. Now, the last time they were at Tennessee was 2016, which was the last time Tennessee beat Florida. So who knows? Maybe our luck has changed. But yeah, you're right.
How about game day when Kentucky and Tennessee play?
Hey, you know what? And if let's see, they would have already. That game's in November normally, so Tennessee could have possibly have already lost 2, maybe 3 ball games. I don't see it. Maybe, possibly, I don't see it though. But now, I mean, if they both only have like maybe 1 loss to their name, who knows? That'd be a huge game for the East now.
Yeah,
you never know. A huge game for the East.
October 29th.
Big old second place battle.
Yeah, there you go.
No, okay, all right, Jerry. Okay, Jerry. Now, what if Tennessee just so happens to pull the upset against Georgia? Then what?
I still think Georgia wins the East.
I'm
guaranteed. You still think so?
Kentucky will beat Georgia. I put it right on the Kentucky.
Oh gosh!
Take it to the bank.
Oh gosh!
I'm down to bet.
Take it to the bank.
I seem to remember a thing or two about somebody saying take it to the bank that they were going to beat somebody, and that next week they got a 58-0 beat down that absolutely rocked the program and made the coach quit on them.
Man, Matt, that is the most fired up I've ever seen you, and I love it.
Kentucky
gave Georgia their best competition last year. They went down to Georgia, and we know that Kentucky's quarterback can throw the ball against Georgia. I have no doubt. But when Chris Rodriguez comes back,
it's gonna be a totally different ball team, man, ain't it, Matt?
Good ball game for about a half. I mean, that's about how everyone. That's about how everyone's played this past 2 years outside Alabama.
Along with their defense, Kentucky's defense will show up.
Well, wow.
Hey, I tell you what, I have not seen the East have so many good football teams in quite this long. Especially it's almost it's like Florida and Kentucky have swapped. Seriously. Yeah. And now that, I mean, that's really good to see. Because now you have Tennessee winning more ball games like they used to do. So that's really good for the East. You have Georgia winning more ball games than they used to. So that's really good. Kentucky Kentucky, man, they have a spotlight on them right now, so it's really good to see Kentucky have that on them.
And everyone wants to talk about the East being the weaker division.
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
right now there are 4 ranked teams from the East and 4 ranked teams from the West. That conversation's gone.
Yeah, it is. So I mean, I see if Tennessee somehow gets the win against Florida this weekend, I see Tennessee moving into the top 10. I do, because then they'll be 4-0, and then if I'm thinking right, then we got LSU the following week, which is going to be a hell of a ball game. I cannot wait to see.
They're awesome.
What?
Their offenses look good. First.
I appreciate that, Matt. Yeah, they have looked good, but the East is very quarterback dependent, and that's my biggest concern is what if Stetson Bennett gets hurt? Does Georgia have a good backup quarterback, Jerry?
Absolutely. You could put Carson back in there now. It's so different. That yesterday at South Carolina, came in there. First thing he does is drive down the field, touchdown in the corner to Oscar Delp. His first ever catch was a touchdown. There was no drop off. The only drop off you saw was when they put Brock Vandegrift in, and we had to punt the ball from inside our own 10. And
Right.
I have a feeling
Right.
But
so
I'm feeling more
good. So Joe Milton, Joe Milton had some good. He's had some really good playing time too. So I think the coaches have really been working on him. Kid has a freaking arm. He has an arm and a half on him. He can throw it 100 yards. But they've really worked on his accuracy this year, which has been really nice. And then what about Kentucky? Does Kentucky have a backup? Say if Will Levis gets hurt, unfortunately.
They have a player they can bring in that's just he doesn't replace Will Levis. I mean, it's
right.
Is that one of the Wade twins that came from Summit High School in Nashville?
No, that's the backup quarterback that came from Iowa. He transferred over to Kentucky last year or this year. Yeah, he was the backup at Iowa. So he played in the Big Ten. He's got some experience, not like Will, but even when Will came over to Kentucky, Will came over because he was a backup at Penn State. So and all Mark Stoops does, and the staff there, all they do is just make winners. So I appreciate that. That's all we do is make winners, and we coming for Georgia too. But I'm humble.
I want all the smoke.
Hey, no. I said we're coming for y'all. I said I'm humble.
Hey, hey, smoke them if you got them, man. Smoke them if you got them.
Georgia.
Hey, that's what I got Matt for.
I'm just going to put it out there. Georgia better be thanking their lucky stars that they got Vanderbilt in Nashville this year and not hosting Vanderbilt for homecoming between the hedges, because Vanderbilt loves nothing more than going down to Athens and beating Georgia on homecoming.
You say this every call, man. You're living in the past. Dogs by 50. I don't care who's on the other sideline.
50.
Dogs by 50?
He done said 50.
Dogs by 50. Kirby with the visor, with the cigar and the sunglasses. You know the meme.
Doesn't matter who they're playing.
Alabama, Ohio State.
Son,
you're volunteered.
Let me tell you, bud. Let me tell you, when the Volunteers come rolling in to Athens, Georgia, you better watch out. You know why? Because Josh Heupel and the mighty Volunteers are going to put a whooping on those candy ass Georgia Bulldogs, and I can't wait to see it. So, did you hear what I'm saying? They're going to put the smackdown, the people's elbow. They're the people's champ. I can't wait to see them roll down to Athens, and they're going to take care of business because you know why? Stone Cold said so. I'm out.
Hey, you know what? I appreciate you guys, man. That was second to none. I don't know how you don't end on that. That's just like, even as a Kentucky fan, I may go back and listen to that at the end.
Dustin got me fired.
Yeah, they're just coming for the King's throne. That's all it is.
Hey, man.
You guys got me fired up and wanting to play for Tennessee. My God, wash that stuff out of my mouth.
I don't know what kind of day it is. Well, guys, man, it There wasn't much going on in college football this week. What's up? What's up, Dustin?
I tell you what, man, the most dangerous thing you can do is give a Tennessee fan some hope. That's the only thing I'm saying.
So that's funny, man. So hey guys, you guys know it wasn't a overly excited weekend, but I think we came together today, man. We talked about a couple of things and we had fun with it. So overall, man, we had a good show, man. I really think we worked it out today, and thank you guys for definitely showing up today. It seemed like it's been a busy weekend for everybody, but you guys showed up, and for that, second to none says thank you guys. So hey, I'm your host, Michael Spencer. You've been listening to Second to None, and we're out. Thank you for tuning in.
Anchor down,
Go
baby.
Dogs.
Go Vols, go Vols.
Go Cats. D-A-T-T Cats, Cats, Cats.
Go Tigers!